Now, starting the downswing, like we see the top pros here, is a very hard thing to do. But what these 1% of golfers on the planet do really well is they tailor their start of the downswing to their swing as an individual. So whether, let's say, you're an into-out golfer, you get more on the inside as a fault, you could hit blocks, you could hit snap hooks, or let's say you're a golfer who throws it over the top, slices, big pull shots, or maybe you're just really quick and rushy in transition. Every single one of those golfers needs to try to start the downswing in a different way. So that's what the 1% do really well. They tailor it to themselves, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that in this video. So let's start off with over-the-top golfers. So with over-the-top golfers swinging way out to win in a downswing, they need to focus on something different than most golfers would do. So that's where 99% of players will get this wrong. And that is where, for you being an over-the-top golfer, what generally you'll be doing is rotating the upper body way too quickly. So quite often you would see them rotate the upper body first, that's a big over-the-top swing, or rotating the upper body alongside with the lower body. So what 99% of players do when it comes to this is they will be trying to think, okay, I know I want my lower body to move first. That's correct, because if the lower body rotates first, the club starts to drop down, you won't swing over the top. But they're trying to do that along with the upper body going really fast. So they just get this kind of mess of a sequencing and start to swing over the top even more. And then they get to that mindset of going, God, this is impossible to fix. But with that approach, I agree, actually would be impossible to fix. But if you do it in this slight different way, you're going to be able to do it really nicely. So what the over-the-top golfers need to do, they need to forget about the lower body, they need to focus on the upper body, because that's what's causing their issue. So if we could focus on, for those golfers, to get the upper body, middle of the chest here, pointing at the camera for as long as you can, that's then going to slow down this chest rotation. The lower body is going to have time to unwind and turn, but the hand path is going to start to drop. That's what you need for an over-the-top golfer. They've got far too much outward movement with the hand path. They need more downward movement. It's a blend of both. The downswing goes out and down, but over-the-top golfers need more down. How you do that is calming down the chest rotation. Pointing at you guys with the chest for as long as I can, the downswing. The chest will still unwind going through the golf ball, but pointing the chest back for as long as you can is going to be the key to getting the club to swing on path. And this, for so many golfers, gets it just like that. So that's where they wouldn't need to drill it out a ton, because it really is a good one that you can even play golf with as well. And with golf, there's not many things that you can do that make quite a big difference straight away. Normally requires a lot of work. This one is one of those ones that helps immediately. So getting that chest to point back away from the target as long as you can, that's going to force hand path to drop, because excessive rotation gets it out in front, and that's going to be how you guys, for over-the-top golfers, are going to start the downswing. You feel like your chest is pointing behind you for as long as you can as you're starting it and throughout. That's how you do it for an over-the-top golfer. So now for excessive into-out golfers. So this would have been like me in the past. So this is where you see a lot of really low handicaps have this problem. A lot of young junior golfers as well have this problem, where they'll have their hand path have way too much drop. So the opposite problem to the over the top. And then they'll go and fire their hands and arms through to the right. They'll get this big hooky shot or just straight push out there. Horrible, especially when you're hooking it non-stop with driver. It is the worst feeling, because it just dive bombs left and that ball is almost always gone. Where sometimes with a slice, you know, you can talk to it. That's the saying, isn't it? And it can be all right. A hook never is. So for these golfers, you don't want to think of and start the downswing just like we talked about. So this is where, again, 99% of golfers with this issue will not be targeting their start of the downswing to fix this specific fault. So that's why it needs to be feeling different. So, okay, we almost need to try and do the exact opposite to some extent. Now, why I see most golfers have the hands overly drop down the downswing is they're lifting up their left side really early. So this is quite often when players try to bump their hips to start the downswing. They're lifting up the left side of the pelvis, their hip tilt levels out. You can see what happens to my upper body. See how it goes back away from the target. Look what happens from the down the line to the golf club. See how it drops down too much, and then the only thing you can do there is fire it out towards the right. So what these golfers need to do is they need to focus on keeping their left side down for longer of their pelvis and their shoulder down for longer there. They can still get their weight into the left side, absolutely. But what this is going to do, this is going to give you a little bit more outward movement of the hand path. It's going to move a little bit more out because it's going to enable you to be able to rotate nicely. So it's like with the over-top golfers, they often rotate too much. for these golfers, into out, they rotate not enough. So keeping the left side down and turning as you're doing so will get this hand path moving a little bit more out, a little bit less down, and that will massively be a better way for you to start the downswing. Left side down and around is our key. That's going to get the club more on path, and it's going to fix you more for that specific reason. So let's get to a drill to do for that. So the drill here, if you've been watching the channel for quite a little bit of time, you've absolutely seen this. It's a classic one. I talk about this a lot because I've done this drill so much in my golfing life. So I'll move this part of the netting out of the way because I'm absolutely going to hit it with the stick. Yep, that's just about. Let's move it a tiny bit more. There we go. Okay, so what we want to do to this represents our hip tilt and our tilting in general of the golf swing. Like we said, what we want to do, we want to keep the left side down whilst we're turning. That helps the hand path get a little bit more out in front for the into-out golfer. So that's where if we the left side hike up, we're going to see it straight away. The stick's going to point more up. It's not going to be going down and around. Then we've got that big block and hook. So get up to top, and first movement is down and around. So you see how the stick here is going down, but it's not only just doing that, it's disappearing. So I almost like for students to do this, put their hand on the stick and just push it and make it go around. So that's really going to help with forcing that hand path a little bit more out. And of course, it's a really good rotational feel. The around portion opens up the chest a ton as well. Severely into-out golfers are always slow with their chest rotation. This happens to really, really help with it without even technically thinking of your chest turn. So down and around in transition with that stick. Really, really good. And what you're going to feel as well for these type of golfers, you're going to feel much more of a compressed type of strike. You're going to strike it way more solidly as well. Because again, overly into-out golfers, they're normally quite shallow with their angle attack. They don't hit enough down on it. This is going to get you hitting that more down on it, and that rotation together is going to give you that shaft lean, and that's going to end up in much better compressed golf shots. So really important one here. Again, I've done this a ton in my golfing life. Absolutely instrumental for me. If you're suffering from more into-out kind of movements in the downswing in general, blocks and hooks, you want to focus left side down and around to start that downswing. This stick drill is the one for you. Okay, now for golfers who are just generally rush their downswing. So this is where either side of these golfers, out to win or into out, could see themselves as rushing their downswing as well, which absolutely that could play a part in producing those two extreme paths. But if you're a golfer who generally relatively gets on a good path in the downswing, but striking's really poor because you're just seeing your arms just quickly starting that downswing. So many golfers, again, I've struggled with this. So that's where for you guys as well, maybe those two might not be brilliant for you. What might be really good for you is feeling something very basic. It's something we hear Rory McIlroy talk about all the time. This is a famous drill that Tiger Woods used to do, and it's something that I used to do as well a ton, which really helped me in my golfing development. And that is feeling like, of course, we're giving ourselves a little bit of time at the top before we move down. So like for me, for example, I used to be absolutely blurred, all arms, club would be in a good path, but my body ultimately wouldn't be able to catch up. So for me, funnily enough, I did this a little bit before I started to get massively into out with my swing. So I fixed this, and then I started getting too much into out, not because of this, just because I was practicing wrong back in the day. So that's where this won't fix all issues, but it's a good one to do to getting good sequencing. So when I would get really quick, my arms would just outrace me and I couldn't use the body rotation at all. I'd be pretty much like this at impact, dead square to the golf ball. Not very good. So I'd be purely reliant on the time of my hands and my arms to be able to create power. And if we're trying to create power with our arms, we're generally not going to hit the ball that far doing that. We need the engine of our body to move. So that's where, okay, pause drill was something that I did a ton. It's something that Rory thinks of with his swing as well, so he doesn't dump the club for him too much under, which he can do when he gets a little bit quick. See, there's a video, last video again here on the channel, talking exactly about what Rory's working on his golf swing at the moment also. So if we can feel like at the top we're doing this. So having a pause, has a lovely strike on that as well. So you can still see I suffer from this a little bit. That was a hard drill to do. That's going to be a really good way for you to feel like you're starting the downswing. And that bad strike that I just did there is a really good topic. When you're doing something, let's say that targets a little bit of a weak area in your golf swing, you're generally not going to boom strike it amazing straight away. It's going to take a little bit of time to practice it and to get used to the movement. The subconscious has always got to get used to the movement pattern you're trying to do. So that's where I normally like seeing when players, when they first start off working on something different, that they hit the ball quite poorly, because that means we're targeting a weak area really nicely. So for me, just pausing it just about 2 seconds there and I thinned it, tells me that I need to still work on this a little bit in my own swing too. So feeling like you've got that little pause, where that's what it feels like, in reality, it won't actually look like that. So if I just do a free flowing swing, but feeling like I'm pausing it, not actually giving it a pause, it's just going to smooth out that arm swing. So there, that felt like I paused it at the top. Absolutely didn't. I just gave it a little bit of time, struck it very, very nicely as well. But absolutely, that'd be a good way to go about doing it. And of course, just like I've been demonstrating with here, the pause at the top drill is a very good one to do for it. So like Tiger's famous drill from Butch Harmon era, arguably the best swings or best era he's ever been swinging in the golf club. So getting up to the top, pausing it for a second or two, and then swinging through. That was a better strike. That'll be a great way to practice and a great thing, again, to feel starting that downswing. So that's where starting the downswing, you've got to know your golf swing to know exactly what bit of advice to go and look for. So that's where on YouTube, I can't say for all golf coaches on YouTube, but certainly the ones that I know, and for myself as well, is we make videos that we want to target as many people as we can. We want to help as many people as we can. So that's why we're on YouTube, is to help more people than we could just help on a weekly basis that come to us for lessons. Of course, YouTube videos can target a lot more people than a full diary of lessons. So we've got to have advice that targets a wide, big area. But that's where some advice needs to be quite niche and quite narrowed down, and just how YouTube works. Those won't be videos, if we made it really niche, that would hit a lot of people. So that's why you need, with YouTubers like myself, we try to get ones that are absolutely brilliant advice, but can still hit a lot of people. That's why on YouTube, you see a lot of the same topics from all instructors. So we know that's going to hit a lot of people, and that's going to help a lot of people as well. But quite often, it needs to be a little bit more niche down, which is why lessons are always really good. There's a link in the description for online lessons as well. If you want one-to-one work with me anywhere in the world, winter time at the moment, so there's a winter improvement plan. If you want to take advantage of that, more than happy to work with you. But absolutely, we need to be individualized a little bit with that. But knowing what you're doing and knowing that there's a little plan, like here, a little drill, if you're a little bit overly into out, a little bit overly out to in, or a little bit quick, you can start the downswing in different ways to help tailor that. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.